here we go. All right. Thank you for joining us. My name is Josh Beiser, and welcome to the Perceptive Livecast. For those of you who don't know me, I run the site Game Wisdom, where we critically examine and look at game design and the industry in general. For the last 2 years, we've been doing weekly podcasts as well as daily articles on a variety of topics. So tonight is our first ever live cast, and the reason I want to do this is twofold. First is that being able to talk to a designer live allows us to look at the game while we're talking to them and lets us greatly analyze the mechanics better. The other reason is that this is also part of what we're planning on doing with our Patreon crowdfunding campaign. For those of you who don't know, Patreon is a crowdfunding site similar to Kickstarter, but instead of donating for a project or product, it's basically for content creators. So the Patreon campaign is a way to hopefully secure funding so that we can continue to do more of these and at a higher quality. For those of you who are watching this recorded on YouTube, you should be seeing some notes pop up on your screen with links to our Patreon campaign as well as to the Game Wisdom site. For those of you watching this, well, someone just popped up.
Hey.
You got it working?
Kind
Oh.
Wait a second.
There's two of you in the call now.
Mm-hmm.
Hey guys, it's live.
Yay.
Yay.
Okay, can you guys hear me now?
Yeah.
Okay.
I just can't see you. I mean,
So, this is happening.
I'm connected on my phone.
There's two of you.
There are.
One's a camera and one's a voice.
This is live, everyone, so this is great.
Sounds like an existential crisis.
Mm-hmm. All right, we'll just leave it like that then.
Yeah.
All right. Well, folks, that's the joy of doing these shows live. So if you want to see us do more of these and hopefully with better quality and not as many mistakes, you can please donate anything you can. It will be greatly appreciated. You can find the Patreon links on the Game Wisdom front page under the donate button, and those notes should be disappearing from this video anytime now. So enough with the advertisements, and let's get started with our cast. So my guest, who has been having some video troubles, he is the lead designer and owner for Zachtronics Industries, Zach Barth.
Hello.
Hey Zach, how are you doing?
Pretty good. I suck at computers, apparently.
Yeah, the still picture, I'll just leave it on mine then, but we'll be showing the actual game in a few minutes. So, for people who aren't familiar with Ironclad and are about to watch this, could you give us basically the elevator pitch of what is Ironclad Tactics?
So Ironclad Tactics is a card-based tactics game set in an alternate history civil war with robots. So it's a little bit like Magic the Gathering, a little bit like Final Fantasy Tactics. It has some mechanics. It's sort of like half real-time, half turn-based, which we'll see shortly.
Mm-hmm. And Zach, Ken just messed me up with the chat message.
Why don't you show the title screen while you discuss this game?
I can't because the screen share can only show one thing. It will show up once the game goes up.
Okay.
So Ironclad Tactics, and it's not an actual recreation of the Civil War, then.
No, I mean, nothing is, right? I mean, all games are merely simulations. Yeah, one of the big differences is that it takes place in alternate history where they have robots.
Yeah, but as we were talking about on the podcast last week, robots are supposed to make everything better.
Oh, yeah. Well, so that was what you're referring to is one of the problems we've had with the game, where it turns out the Civil War is not that exciting, and even if you had robots, people are still really skeptical about a game that's about the Civil War.
Yeah. Hopefully, with the cast, we can show people what the game is about, and hopefully get some more interest for you.
Yeah. Well, let's see what happens.
Yep. So I am going to load the game up now, and will be screen shared right now, or hopefully. And here we go. Can you guys see it?
Yep.
Yeah.
Awesome. Let me just lower the music a little bit here, so we don't really need the music for what we're going to be talking about. So with Ironclad Tactics, it is a strategy game with strong CCG elements. Is that right, Zach?
Um, yeah, I guess it's more of it's definitely a tactics game. I think
Mm-hmm.
more than like a strategy game, like in terms of phrases that people commonly use.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and it has heavy CCG mechanics, except not like the kind of like Magic where you have to buy the cards and do all of
Mm-hmm.
that. Like you do this deck building,
Yeah.
so it's like you collect the cards by playing the game. So that's one of the big differences. So it's sort of like a deck building tactics game.
Mm-hmm. And with the deck building such a main part of it, the first thing that I really want to focus on for our live cast is talking more about the deck design and the basically the general philosophy you use when coming up with the cards and the factions.
Okay.
So, first thing you do then is you're going to have to go and create a new deck. These are some other decks I've created for the game, but for the live cast, I'm going to be creating a new deck. So here we have the main deck building screen. You can see over here, these are the various factions, and these are basically all the cards that are available or the ones that I've unlocked through play. Now, as you just mentioned, Zach, all the cards are available through playing the game, so there isn't any like booster packs or buying any cards.
Correct.
And this was, of course, to make it so that people didn't have to worry about not getting the right card. They basically had everything they needed available, and it was just up to them to figure out how to make things work. Right, Zach? Oop. Is Zach
Having
still on
some
the...
difficulties. The game appears Ironclad Tactics appears to have crashed Google Hangouts.
Oh, no.
Give me 1 second.
Can you guys... Ken, can you still see everything?
Yeah, I can see everything fine.
Okay.
Okay, I'm restarting my computer. Give me 1 sec.
Uh-oh.
Can we unlive and relive?
Uh,
I don't know if you can do that actually.
I can stop the broadcast. Yeah, that may be better at this point just to get things back.
Yeah, we can keep going. I mean, I'm still here.
Okay.
Just I
Oh,
need to
you're
restart
still...
my computer.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
Okay, can you still see
But I'm
my
on my
screen?
phone.
Okay. Can you still see my screen then, Zach?
Yeah, totally.
Okay, cool. All right. So let's keep going. So with deck building, the first thing then, Zach, is could you tell everyone what are the basic rules then when it comes to designing a deck?
So you get 20 cards, and you get up to 2
Mm-hmm.
factions, and I think that's it.
Now, the factions themselves, I'm going to start unclicking these so we can just see each faction in general. There are 4 types of cards in the game. You have infantry, which are these guys up here. Infantry costs usually fewer points than an ironclad, which we'll talk about next. And their main advantage is that they can use objects on the field, but they can be crushed by the ironclads, which renders them, of course, dead. The other types of cards are down here. We have the ironclads. These are the only ones who can actually score you points normally when playing. You can see, hopefully, where it says here, victory. These are how many points the ironclad will get you if it crosses over to the other side and passes over your enemy's boundary. We've got items here. These are weapons and various doodads that you can equip only onto ironclads, and they provide various effects. You can see right here that this rocket has damage. You can see its range. And then lastly, you have tactics cards, which are these right here. And these basically perform some kind of function or special ability. So this will allow infantry to attack a second time. This increases speed. And these are generally ways of affecting your ironclads and your units during battle. So my first question for you, Zach, is I won't go through each one of the factions, and you can basically just give your general idea or your philosophy behind each one. So first one we have here is, I guess this is considered the revolutionary or the American deck. So what was I guess, the foundation that you had when building this deck?
1 second. Let me see if I can get my microphone unmuted.
Mm-hmm. There we go. So Ken, this is probably the joys of what we'll run into when we do more of these live casts.
No, but I think this is actually pretty cool to actually go through and have the developer discuss all the things that you're looking at. So I think it's totally worth all the headaches of this
I'm actually
live
not a
casting
fan of
stuff.
Google Hangouts. I think is a lot of the problem.
Really? You don't like Google Hangouts?
Well, I think he's on Mac. Maybe Macs don't like Google.
Possibly.
All right. Are you there, Zach?
Yeah, I'm just trying to get this into a working state. Okay, so we're going to do it like this. Cool.
Okay. So getting back to, so the first deck that I have up here, this is, I guess, considered the American or the Civil War deck, right? Do you have actual names for each one of these factions?
Yeah, hover over the little question mark on one of those cards.
Okay. There we go. Okay, so this is the Army faction.
Indeed, yeah.
So
So
what was...
it represents the Union and Confederate
Mhm.
armies, and they're sort of like the very straightforward cards of the game.
Mm-hmm.
They're
And
the
now...
first ones you get.
Mm-hmm. And when you're building a deck and playing through the regular campaign, these seem to be like the safe bet when trying to design a deck for one of the campaign's puzzle-like levels.
Well, I don't know if I'd call them like like a safe bet, but
Okay.
they're definitely the first ones you get. They're usually more straightforward if you
Mhm.
compare them like to the mercenary faction, which is one of the later factions.
Mm-hmm.
Those ones are much more side grady,
Yeah.
so they're less directly useful.
Mm-hmm. And while mousing over each one of these cards and everyone's seeing like the card art and stuff like that, who was the artist who did a lot of, I guess, the comic book style cutscenes as well as some of the card art for the game?
Oh, we had a lot of artists who worked in the
Okay.
game. Yeah. So yeah, because I mean, there's actually a ton of art in the game. There's the
Mhm.
the comic book obviously is a lot of art, but there's a lot of art in game too with all the card art and all the
Mhm.
characters, and they're all animated, all the backgrounds. It's a lot of it.
Cool. So let's go to the next one then. So this is the experimental deck. So what's about these guys?
They have a lot of really quirky abilities. A lot of
Mhm.
them have like really strong weak strengths and weaknesses, and so you'll
Mhm.
find stuff like armor
Mhm.
is definitely a very strong strength that I don't think any other ironclads have, and that just
Mhm.
totally prevents damage. That would do one attack,
Mhm.
or any attack that would do one damage.
Yep. And they also have some really crazy equipables. So we got a cat that gives them speed.
Yeah.
We've got systems, and one that I used pretty well in the campaign was just the jetpack chassis, which lets you basically jump. When you place the car on the field, it gets an additional car that basically lets it jump across, what is it, like 2 or 3 spaces?
Yeah, I think we can skip like 3 spaces ahead.
Hmm. And I use that pretty much on one of the boss levels.
Yeah.
Okay.
They're all like the really quirky cards are in
Hmm.
the experimental faction.
Yep. All right, let's go to these guys. This is the mercenary faction, and these guys have a lot of other unique abilities, right, Zach?
Mm-hmm.
And what can you tell us about these guys?
They're definitely designed to be sort of side grades of the like the army faction. So you'll see that there's like a shotgun mercenary who it's an infantry unit that has a shorter range, but
Mm-hmm.
but it's wider and can hit multiple targets as a result.
Mm-hmm.
You've also got let's see what else is in there. It is like a unit that's like it has less victory, but it's faster.
Mm-hmm.
They're just sort of they're totally different from the army in terms of what they do, and they're a lot quirkier, but maybe
Mm-hmm.
not as quirky as the experimental faction. They
Mm-hmm.
also have a lot of infantry.
Yeah. I love the sharpshooter who he takes 2 turns to reload, but then he shoots 2 damage and has like one of like the longest ranges I think in the game.
Hmm.
This guy is also really good. For those of you who can see, this is the Saboteur Hulk. If you look at that card, he has 4 victory points, which a normal game you need a total of 8 to win. So you get 2 of these guys across, you basically win the match. But you can see he has some major disadvantages. He can't equip any parts, so no attacking, and he costs 6 points or 6 action points, which is the resource of the game. All right, let's go to our next guy.
We actually had to nerf him. He used to, I think he used to cost less, and no, I guess he always cost that much, but he used to actually have 5 health and could equip.
Mm-hmm.
So that was something early on we realized that everybody who was playing multiplayer was using that card.
Mm-hmm.
So sometimes not a good thing.
So this is the native deck, and these guys are another really quirky class because each one seems to have like a special feature or a special function. Uh,
Yeah, they have a lot of cards there's a notion in the game called chain cards,
mm-hmm,
which is where it's a card that when you play it, you draw another card into your hand instantly, like a specific card.
mm-hmm,
And usually, like in Magic, you'll have abilities on cards, but we didn't want to add that layer of like UI interaction where things actually had abilities that you had to. It's like already you click a unit to select it to make it stop ghosts, and there's a question of like, well, what would you do to trigger a special ability? We
mm-hmm,
kind of had way too much information, which would slow the game down a lot. So instead, we had chain cards, which it presents you with another card that you can play whenever you want that affects that unit.
mm-hmm,
And the natives have a bunch of those. It allows them to transform. Like their original infantry unit is a
mm-hmm.
scout who transforms into a rifleman, basically.
Yeah, so I can pull that up here. So if you look right there, you can see that he goes from the Fox Runner to the Fox Ambusher. So this is a pretty useful card because he starts out with 2 speed. So he acts, of course, as a scout, and then once you've gone to where you need to be, you can just turn him into a basic infantry. Now, I'm pretty sure I haven't unlocked all the cards yet, which, as we talked about, you unlock cards both through playing the game, and if you look on some of these cards, I can go back to the Mercenary deck for a second. There we go. You can see that they have sometimes conditions right here. So this guy has condition unit dies 10 times. So if you do that, that will unlock more cards for that specific deck. What was the decision to have cards both available as unlocked through play and unlocked through conditions?
The primary reason for it was just to make it more fun, honestly. Doing that is fun, and we had extra cards that we could give away, and instead of having it always be through winning, it's nice to have some cards where even if you don't win, you still get new cards from it, and sort of unlock the more challenging to use cards.
Awesome. All right, and this is the deck. This is, I believe, it's Dimitri's deck, and this is the deck that comes with the first DLC campaign, which we may show later, given enough time. So while I'm looking at the screen here, what was the general design for Dimitri's deck?
With Dimitri's deck, we actually already had a lot of his cards were already in the game as
Mm-hmm.
special cards that only the enemy could use towards the end of the game.
Mm-hmm.
And so we had all these cards, and something we decided early on is that it'd be really nice if we could make versions of those that we could give to the player.
Mm-hmm.
So like the versions we give to the AI might be a little unbalanced, but we wanted to make versions that we could give to the player because they had this really fun mechanic where all the Ironclads for Dimitri start off as a small unit that then transforms like later on the field into one of the other ones. So there's an element of surprise that's really good for like player versus player kind of matches, and just being the player. I mean, like using that element of surprise is definitely like a fun thing to do.
Mm-hmm. And as you can see on the screen, so this is the basic Ironclad, the Visionary Shell, and then he can be transformed into the Entrench, Victory, Onslaught, Generator. There may be other ones. I haven't unlocked all of them yet in the game, but it's pretty much a big twist from the other decks who, when you place a Ironclad, he basically starts on the left and moves to the right. Here you basically place the basic one, then you can sort of cause the enemy to guess, what's he going to turn into next.
Yeah, especially with the Visionary Shell, which only costs 3 and then transforms it into a 4 Victory unit.
Which is this guy right here, the Victory Shell. Okay, and then we have the European decks, which are corresponding to the other DLC that you just put out. I think it was called Blood and Ironclads.
Mm-hmm.
And we'll be hopefully showing that later. So, before we get to actually playing the game, I'm going to design a new deck. And I'm going to choose somewhat of a staple of the Army and the Experimental, because this is sort of the deck strategy that I use when playing the campaign. So, Zach, do you have any general strategies or tips for people who are designing a new deck? Since the campaign is, of course, variable based on the level, what are some basic, I guess, PvP or versus strategies?
I actually don't know if I know the best way to play against other players, because that has a lot to do with what the other people are going to be playing. Like there's a lot of metagame that comes up, like in any sort of card game. So it depends on whatever people are using. So since I'm just going to be playing you, the right way to build a deck would be one that counters yours.
Oh, good. And
Some good general tips for building a deck, regardless of if you're playing PvP or against the computer.
Mhm.
Honestly, the tip we see the people kind of not doing the most is that it's always good to have maneuvers.
Yeah.
Like maneuver is like one of the first cards you get, but it's actually probably disproportionately more useful than other tactics cards because it lets you move sideways, and that can make a huge difference in the game.
Yeah, which is why I'm putting a few of them right there.
Yeah.
Now, we talked about this on our first cast together, Zach, but could you tell people who are listening what was the design or the philosophy behind only having a 20-card deck?
We wanted to make it really easy to build a deck, or really quick.
Mhm.
One of the things that, in Magic, you build a 60-card deck, and it's actually really kind of challenging because you have to think about, like in your head at once, like what are the 60 cards in your deck? What are their relative, like if they come up, like in different odds, what kind of hands are you likely to get? And it's
Mhm.
complicated, it's intimidating, and it actually makes it time consuming to build a deck. So we
Mhm.
went with 20 cards because it made it so, like building a deck doesn't involve that many decisions, which means it's very quick to build a deck, very quick to change a deck, very quick to completely throw out your old one and build a new one.
Mhm.
Just makes it really, really quick and streamlined, which is really something that we tried to do with pretty much every aspect of the game.
Yep. All right, I am just about done. Zach, if you want, you can load up your game because we'll
Yep,
do some verses in
already
about.
done.
Awesome. All right. There you go. I'm sure this is going to be horrible and you're going to kick my ass. But as I said on the last cast, that's good, for people who are betting. They know who the winner of this is going to be. All right. So I got my 20 cards. Probably not sure this is the best or worst, but what the hell? Let's get this going. So there we go. Where is it? There we go. The Surgeon's Victory. And there you are. There. That was easy. So
We have a very streamlined friend joining experience.
All right, so let me get back to the actual game here. All right, play against other players. There we go, skirmish. All right, so how can we? It looks like we're on the same team. Is that right? Or
Oh yeah, which map do you want to play?
I guess it doesn't matter. I guess different
Oh,
ones
it
have.
totally does. Some of them have different,
Oh,
like totally degenerate cases.
okay. The one that I have on right now, is this a pretty like basic map? There's
Completely
no.
degenerate.
Okay, this is good
If
for
you
a
want like a
start.
good like stock level, you
Yeah.
should do the Talladega Forest.
Okay.
That's like a
There,
really good like balance. It doesn't have a lot of weird quirky stuff.
there we
There's
go.
like only half of these missions show up when you play against random people because they're
Mhm.
just like they're really quirky levels.
Okay. Now, are we going to be playing against each other, or is that how it's set up right now? Or there we go. All right, so I'm going to choose my just recently created deck, and we are going to get going. Okay. Okay. So while we're playing, everyone should be seeing the main screen. And if you look at the bottom left-hand corner, that is the move order, or that's the how the turns work in game. The actual Ironclad Tactics is actually turn-based. The turns are, I think, 5 seconds. Is that right?
Mm-hmm.
Right. And so as you can see, it goes play, then it goes act, kill, move. So he just moved his little shotgun guy down here to try to take out my scout.
So specifically, I maneuvered. That's the benefit of the maneuver card.
So he's about to basically just shoot him to death. And you've actually captured these 2 points. Now we're going to move here. There we go. So now I just equipped a weapon. So that's going to hopefully take him out. There we go. And now he just equipped one of his own. Now the shotgun that he just equipped is going to hit this guy and kill him. I'm starting to see very big flaws in my deck as I'm waiting for infantry to come up, because as you can see, Zach has captured these 2 points here, which is giving him extra action per round. Now, one important strategy of the game is in order to score points, you have to send ironclads across, but when you send them across, that will destroy them. So he's playing it smart, leaving this guy here to basically act as defense. Now I'm noticing one big flaw is I got a lot of high AP costing units out, which makes it very hard to get more stuff out in case he destroys it. Will he make it? Oh, he's doing it. But will he survive? Oh. So now you're blocking him. Let's get a weapon on this guy here. And now
That
you
was a
just
bad
equipped a
choice.
wood chipper, which is a very annoying weapon, which blocks guys from moving. Let's see, will he actually fire? Okay.
I'm in your minimum range.
Oh, damn it.
That's the light cannon. So the cannon has a minimum range of 3, at which point it's completely useless.
Ah. Okay. Maneuver, as you talked about earlier, is very important.
Oh wait, are you ready for this?
Oh, this is
So you
very.
can't hear the sound effects on the
Yeah.
the thing, but I just played the cowboy hat, which does absolutely nothing but is menacing. You can mouse over it and see.
Let's see. Wood chipper. There it is. Desperado hat. Damn it. All right, let's get. And you just play mercenary ambush, so that sends more guys. So you're just capturing everything.
Josh, we're rooting for you.
Sorry.
Keep going.
Mm-hmm. There you go. Let's get him out. Yeah, I got someone across. Oh, so you just equipped him. So let's get that guy. So now you're just about to score royally. Now I'm going to hopefully try to get him. I can just do that. There you go. So at least I killed one guy. That's a victory for me. And now I'm going to pop this little guy up so I can get at least a few more points.
There's a couple other things going on right now. So for every victory point that that a player scores, their opponent gets 2 action points.
Oh, that's good.
So unfortunately, that's probably not going to help you here. But
And now this little guy right here is about to get turned into jelly. Let's get him a little weapon. Oh, well, you were worried in our email that this was going to take too long, but I don't think we're going to have too much of a problem. So that's one.
2 out of 3.
so there's a slight problem with me playing this game, which is that I can completely tune out and just like
Mm-hmm.
play it. I don't know. It's weird. I mean, it's weird actually. Like making a game this is the first game that I've ever worked on really that was like a competitive kind of thing like this,
Mm-hmm.
and admittedly not as deep as maybe like Magic, which has like like 500 cards in a block and a lot of different stuff. But it is interesting when you make a game, just being able to just see all the mechanics and how everything connects together.
Mm-hmm.
Unfortunately, it makes me really unfun to play against. Here, I have there's a joke that we have about that. People talk a lot about like, oh, it's important to have all these good cards and you have to have a really good deck or whatever. But specifically one of the other designers who worked on this game like builds a deck that's made pretty much just out of the cards you get when you start.
Mm-hmm.
And then just sees like how many people he'll go on like the random matchmaking and see how many people he can crush with this like terrible deck. So I'm going to do that now.
Oh,
Wait,
good.
what was his results?
It's pretty. You'll see. We'll see.
Okay.
So I'm going to build the starter deck, which is literally the first 5 cards, 4 of each of those that you get in the game.
Oh, good. So you're kicking my ass with like the absolute basic. That's good.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So we'll see. So you do whatever. Continue talking about whatever points you wanted to make, and then I'm going to play against you with this deck.
Okay. So to make things a little bit more interesting, let's move on to another map. This is the abandoned warehouse. So this has a few more points on the map.
Oh,
And
this is interesting. Yeah. Okay.
all right, let's see what happens here. Now, as you can see, once it loads up, so we got these little guys that heal ironclads. And we saw these capture points. Okay, so now you just load up the basic prototype. So this is, I think, one of the first ones you get.
Yeah, this is the first. So I actually don't have any infantry in this deck, notably.
Okay.
Oh, I didn't see that. Oh, no, there's flame jets. Gotta watch out for those flame jets. This is a terrible map, I think. Some of these are not balanced maps. They're just, designed for playing against friends in a quirky way.
Okay, so now you got him with a gun. I'm going to try a little bit another scale. Now, basically, in this matchup, your guy's going to win very easily. So I need something
You walked onto the flame jets.
Boom. Let's get him down here so I can get. Oh, that I just realized one of the things you have to realize is because it is turn based, you still have to pay attention to what turn things are on, which that kind of just screwed me there. So let me get someone out here, and he's trying to blow up this repair machine. And now we're just trying to wait to see who will get enough AP to actually do something. Let me launch him. There we go. And I'm going to put in... Oh no, not more flame jets.
They don't move. There's 2 of them. They're specifically in those 2 locations.
Now he's about to get burned as well.
Good work, Josh.
Mm-hmm. This game's broken, Zach.
Yeah, it's the little things, yeah. No, seriously, they're in those 2 spots. Be careful.
Okay, so I'm trying to get this guy out. This was probably a mistake since this guy is pretty much a direct counter to infantry because he's armored, but he still gets crushed by any ironclads. So you're about to do some more scoring there. I'm getting a lot of weapon draws, but not much in terms of ironclads. So let me load him up here just to get someone out. That was
Nope.
me.
No mercy.
Okay, now I got him out. And let's avoid those damn jets. But still no ironclads. I definitely have too many weapons, I think, in this deck. Finally. Okay, now that we got him. Let's get some about here. Oh, someone's about to get crushed again. At least I captured the point, so that will at least help me out
I
there.
was trying to prevent that, actually. But,
Okay, so he is firing.
oh, crap.
Okay. Oh. Okay, now he's about to get burned there. Boom. At least he took some. At least he did a little bit of damage before. So let's just avoid that jump jet. And at least this guy is doing some damage there. Okay. Now this guy, I was going to try to get him down here, but there's just, I don't have enough maneuver. So, still, I need more ironclads. Let's pop him up. Now, he is about to score 2. So this is getting to be pretty much over very quickly. Okay, let's get something on him. Now, as we're doing this, what was the general strategy as you were building these maps in terms of like placing these various objects around? Did you have any overall strategy for that?
Yeah, I mean, definitely just to try a bunch of... So one of the big things, a lot of the maps are symmetrical, at least in skirmishes, just because that usually correlates with a balanced map. Symmetry is an easy way to make something balanced. A lot of it was just sort of trial and error with the placement. This map was really... So, okay, this is actually a boss level. This level, the one that we're playing now. Obviously we're playing it in skirmish mode, but the map that this is based on is a boss level. And give me a second, trying to figure out how to navigate this situation. So, okay, yeah. So so this is a boss level normally, and so we knew that we kind of wanted to, it's probably this level has there wasn't a lot of sort of source material to build on for making this into a skirmish map, from a boss battle into a skirmish map. So the main level has flame jets and it's in the warehouse and has the repair machinery. So we wanted to sort of turn that into a skirmish level. The first couple things we tried though weren't very good. So specifically this level, we had a lot of trial and error in order for us to make it. And even now it's still a little unbalanced. The flame jets are weird, are a weird thing.
Yeah.
and the repair machines. Neither one of us really took advantage of it, but just kind of, trial and error. That's how you make games in general.
Oh, I just said
Also, I just won.
Yes. Well,
With the starter deck. So that was with the starter deck with no infantry and terrible stuff. Which is kind of funny. I mean, so that's proof right there, right? That the game does have a lot of tactics into it. So it's not 100% deck building. There is a huge tactical component to actually playing it, which is really cool because that's not as present in most card games.
Also have to be very apparent of your environment, Josh.
Yeah.
You picked the battlefield, and it's pretty much screwed you.
Exactly. Okay. So I'm going to try again. I'm going to add a bit more ironclads to it. Hopefully I can get something. All right, let's try another one. This looks like a basic one as well.
No plane jets, please.
Are we playing? We just played Talladega. Yeah.
Oh, what's the blitz? What makes that? Oh, here.
So blitz, you start off with a bunch of AP, but you don't get any more, and the match only lasts 10 turns.
Okay. All right, let's do Houston then. There we go. So this is another basic one. There's only these 2 control points.
Yeah, but they're in the center, which is a little strange.
Mm-hmm.
I hope I have something that can capture flags in this map.
Okay, so let's get him out here. Let's give him a cat. I want to get him across really quickly. All right, so you've got another armored. So the armored basically means that anything that does 1 point of damage, it won't get through that armor.
Exactly.
So we gotta hope that you can get across there. Let's get him here. Now another thing that you just added to the game is in a recent patch was this 1 AP. This allows you to switch a card and flip it back to the other side.
Yeah.
Because for those of you who are noticing, the cards are basically moving slowly from left to right, and damn you just took that guy out. And you captured. Okay, let's get him. My little poor infantryman. Let's get that card back over here, because I think I'm going to need it. So you basically just have this one guy sitting here, just hogging at 1 point. Well,
I'm sorry.
Yeah, how you like that? Just like in a regular CCG, you can try to counter everyone's cards. So he is going to hopefully get over. Yeah, I captured the point, but you can just move him back down. So let me get him out there. Now this is where having cards that do more damage is going to be helpful. So I'm going to bring him back here. I really need to get another ironclad out. Well, this should do. Oh, you got a little flamethrower now. Okay. So I got a little idea to hopefully deal with you. Okay, he is just standing there. Come on. Oh, I scored first, so at least I can say that for this match.
First blood.
Yep. What I really need is to get something that can take out that armor. Okay. Oh, so you just moved him. Okay. Now he is down. And I am trying to get something. I got a few more ironclads, but you are definitely taking board control.
Yeah, and especially on the flag maps, that's incredibly important.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, you were watching that. So there's a little bit of a metagame in here. Not a metagame. I don't know what you call it. A micro. There's a little bit of a micro game where toggling. You can kind of play chicken with who's gonna go and who's gonna stop. It's definitely a thing that crops up.
Oh, that's just mean. You incinerated him. Okay, we need to get something. Okay. We'll need that just in case. Come on, can he make it across? Oh, that's just mean as top row. And of course.
Yeah.
Okay. Now you're keeping this whole top row pretty much locked down, so I have to be very careful in what I'm going to place. Come on, give me a point. There we go. Now, because this guy is pretty much staying here, you're not going to get that point, but he's, of course, earning his keep just by basically denying this lane.
Yes.
Okay, so let's get something. Okay. Now, I love these cavalry sabers because they're basically counting your armor, but you're just scoring royally there. I think that's going to pretty much win. And that's not going to do enough.
Oh,
And I believe. Oh, damn you! You were just going for overkill.
That was a close. That was a close one.
Mm-hmm. So let's try something interesting. So what's Nemesis mode?
so we should not play Nemesis mode.
Okay.
We could. Well, we could do that. So Nemesis mode lets you play as one of the bosses from the game.
Mm-hmm.
So against another human.
Okay.
So, like, for instance, we could play at the final level, and you could be the final boss, and I can play against you.
Okay. Let's try.
Do we want to do that?
Yeah, sure.
I'm on the enemy team right now, so you should switch teams.
There we go.
Let me pick a deck. Try this deck. Yeah.
Okay. Ken just informed me we're at 40 minutes in, so this will be the last one that we'll do for just versus, and then we will move on and talk a little bit about the. Well, we'll do a co-op and just show people that next.
Okay.
Ken, while we're doing this, have anyone posted any questions, like general questions, in the Q&A?
Not yet.
Okay.
I see.
All right. We have enabled Q&A, so if you have any questions about what's going on or what we're doing, you can ask. We will be having just a regular Q&A after we're done playing for about 5-10 minutes for anyone who is currently watching. Okay. And are you ready, Zach?
I am ready.
Okay, let's see how this works. So there's Dimitri in his cool armor. So now I have my own deck. We may just end this short just because since this is the boss level, this is one of the longer levels for the campaign. And
Not necessarily.
Oh, look at me with my badass Dimitri Ironclad. There he is. Okay.
Notably, he's invincible.
Mm-hmm. So he is just taking charge there. So I'm playing a visionary shell now. So this guy can transform into something. Oh. Now I can't stop him from moving, right?
You can stop, yeah.
Maybe.
Before the Dimitri DLC came out, this was the only time that you could play any of Dimitri's cards.
Mm-hmm. There we go. I must not having trouble clicking. So let's move him there. So now these visionary shells are great because they let me basically transform, but as you can see, I haven't gotten anything to really transform him with yet. So he's basically just a unit here that's not doing much. There we go. Not this time. So now he is about to cross. Come on. Now you're about to take him out. Well, that's all right. Because I'm going to place him. Okay. Now Dimitri is about to cross over yet again. And then you basically just send him. Now, as you can see, because this is the boss deck, this is somewhat overpowered with Dimitri just kicking ass right now.
Yeah. The fact that he's invincible, so I'm attempting to shut him down is what I'm trying to do right now.
Mm-hmm.
But it's very difficult. So now his shields are off.
Mm-hmm.
Unfortunately, you do a base of 3 damage.
Mm-hmm. And I moved twice.
Yep. And that infantry is toast.
There we go. And now I finally got an onslaught shell out, so now he is back to being invincible. Now he's normal again. So let's move him. And he is there. So now I just need to cross over one more time, and I will finally win one. Okay. So now here comes Dimitri yet again. Now what's great about this deck is that I don't have to worry too much about screwing with deck building.
Yeah, there's literally 0 deck building. Oh man, this is going to be close. Vinvite! So that infantry is going to die, but he attacks 3 times.
Let's get him down there.
Oh no. Yeah, so unfortunately this is not necessarily a fair match.
And that's the only way I can win, apparently. Alright, let's get him that little hat on. And...
yeah, that's game.
Awesome. And... there we go. Finally won one. Using the most overpowered deck, I was able to win. Still a victory. So, with that, we'll do a quick co-op just to show people how that works.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Let's load up one of the campaigns, the DLC. So with the DLC, before we get started, what was the general philosophy behind designing each one of the DLCs with a unique deck?
It's actually just like the main campaign. Mm-hmm. They're just more campaign. We call them add-on campaigns because that's sort of our approach. Is that we didn't want to just sell packs of cards. We wanted to sell content that contains levels with unique opponents to fight against, and unique cards that get unlocked when you beat it, just like the real game. Okay. So it was basically it was like designing the game again with the all the experience of designing it the first time, but smaller amount of design space to explore.
Okay. Now, for those of you looking right now, these are the conditions for unlocking cards. As you can see, you have some for winning the story. You have these very interesting challenges, Zach, for each one of the campaigns, which sort of lends a little bit more of a puzzle feel to the already puzzle-like design of each level. And then you got War, which is new with the DLC campaign.
Yes, and that's just slightly more difficult, and you have to play as the opposing European army.
Mm-hmm. So let's load this up quickly. This is the deck that I saw built from the original campaign. I think this was the one that I had tailor-made to beat Dimitri, but it's been a while, so let's see what happens. Okay. So this is taking place, I think, during the Franco-Persian War, is that right?
Mm-hmm. Yep. Or around that time. We didn't establish sort of like a strict story for this one.
Now, do we share AP, or do we each have our own?
We do not.
Okay.
We each have our own AP. We can play as many units as we'd be able to play if we weren't playing co-op. It's kind of there's a lot of stuff going on. We can play cards on each other's units. There's a lot of stuff.
Okay.
Are you able to trample that guy?
Well, he's armored, yeah. If I can get something over, I'm going to try to break this little hedge so we can actually get some guys.
Yeah.
Now, he's on the moor, which means that every other turn, I believe he gets basically...
Walk forward, we need to get in there and take him out.
Now you got him. And the French side has some pretty interesting cards. How did you design the French and the German side units?
We just tried to look for things that were new and unlike any units that were already in the game.
Mm-hmm.
And then we just looked for things that would work, and then tested them and got rid of the bad ideas because there's always tons of those.
Okay, let's bring him down here. Now, is this guy armor? No, he just has 2.
There's far too much going on to effectively communicate now. So co-op requires a lot of coordination between players.
Mm-hmm. Okay, I'm gonna try to take this guy out for you. Now he's about to cross. There we go. So if you want to move him down.
I don't have any maneuvers. If you have a maneuver, you can maneuver down.
No, I can put a scout down at least. And that will at least let us get that.
Yeah. Make sure you stop your guy in it.
Mm-hmm. And come on, you. 1, 2, there we go. So now we'll get some AP from there. Oh. Now he's going to try to trample him. I'm going to try to block. Yep, there's our point. I don't have any maneuver. Do you have one that we can move this guy down?
Which guy?
The one who's firing on the bottom Ironclad.
Oh, he's going to be dead in a second.
Okay. Okay, let's get him over here. Good. So now the mortars are pretty much a way to easily win as long as you can block
win
them.
defensively. They don't make it easy, but they make it so you can win defensively, which is the only thing in the game that allows you to do that.
Mm-hmm. And this is very useful when you're trying to basically play against the enemy and you're being overwhelmed ironclad-wise. As long as you can hold that one lane and basically keep enough time, you can hold out and win. All right, so now LP's just got cut there. So I'm going to give your guy a little hat. That should speed things up. So if you want to rush him over...
Oh, we've almost won, yeah.
Yeah. 2. And we should be winning this in next turn unless he plays something. And
They actually got kind of card screwed, it looks like. They have 30 AP, and they did not have enough cards to deploy.
There we go. And what's great about co-op is that you're still winning cards. So these are more French cards for the campaign. So for someone playing, they can now use those cards and add them to their deck. Now that was number 3 of the campaign. How many episodes or levels were there in Blood and Ironclads?
There's 8. There's 8 in Blood and Ironclads. The Rise of Dimitri also has 8, and the last one's this really long battle.
Okay. Ken, really what's our time right now?
It's 7:05. You're currently at 54 minutes in.
Okay. All right. In that case, let's play one more, and we'll wrap things up. We'll move on to Q&A. So for those of you listening right now, if you have any questions for us, the Q&A app should be loaded. So if you want to start posing questions, we'll see there's any after this match, and we'll see how many we can answer. So let's load up this last level then, and then we will wrap things up. Okay. So this one has a lot of capture points.
Mm-hmm. And there's some other surprises.
Oh, there we go. We got mortar coming. I love that French ability that you can drop a guy behind.
Mm-hmm.
All right, let's get this big buff dude out here. So this guy has probably a lot of health for infantry, but he's still very susceptible to being crushed. So let's get him. Now what does this guy do? Oh, he is moving quick. Okay, let's try to block him. Up here comes the artillery. Oh, we avoided that.
So the artillery is completely avoidable on this level, for the most part.
You at least get the idea that it's coming.
Yeah, well, you one turn in advance, which is not always true.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Now he is Nope, he just got crushed there. Now what I'm going to do is see about capturing these points. Up here comes more artillery. Come on, let me get... There we go. Okay. We've captured that.
I'm going to put a guy behind your armored chassis.
Okay.
So can you make him... you keep advancing.
Okay, I need to get a weapon on him, see if I can take him out. So now what I'm going to... Oh, he just cut your raider down.
Oh, you should pause your armored. Otherwise he'll walk into the artillery next turn.
Okay. I'm going to try to blow up this guy here. Let's see what happened. He's not going to stop him.
Okay, he should walk your armored guy forward.
As you can see, there's a lot going on, made even more complicated by the fact that we have two groups of ironclads. Yeah,
and that's definitely the exciting thing about co-op is that it really piles on a lot of excitement.
Okay, let's get my guy out here. Oh, he's got a jetpack, so he'll be able to survive. What is that? A Gatling gun?
On the enemy ones?
Yeah.
A mitrailleuse. It's like a Gatling. It's like an early Gatling gun. In the game, we made it a little bit more powerful than it might have been in practice.
Okay, so he'll get across safely there, but I still need something. Oh no, he killed him. He just got torn apart. But you've got this lovely guy, the Saboteur Hulk, who's about to score us 4. And there goes some more artillery. We'll try to at least delay him. Let's see. Oh. Mining drill. Let's see. Alright, we just have to get one more guy across. Oh, and there's the mercenary ambush. My little guy down here is about to get blown up.
Well, I think the mitrailleuse actually has a minimum range of 1. You are safe.
Oh, yeah. And I just need to take him out. Okay. Oh, he just got crushed there. And we are about to win.
What?
Oh, wait. What's this then?
It's a 2-stage battle.
Dun dun dun.
There's a bunch of cannons. That guy is gonna get torn up.
Mm-hmm. And this old dude's about to get... Oh, there he goes.
I'm gonna use that as a cover. The sacrifice was not in vain.
And you can't trample them. But they only have a range of that. Okay, so once you get him out, I'll be able to hopefully get an infantry going. Oh.
Gotta watch out for those cannons.
Yeah, now this is the problem with my tech. I don't have anything I think that can really get around. But I'll give you guys.
Oh, good repair. Thank you. Okay, now we're gonna blow up hurt all those guys.
There we go. Okay. Now I can give your guy a saber if you want.
Yeah, do that.
There we go. So that will let you finish them. And now my little buddy here can get to that mortar. Oh.
No.
Okay, I need to get someone out to help him. Okay, so now we got mortars in play. Now you're going to move the shotgun guy here to hopefully take out that infantry. So I just gave your little guy here a rocket. That should at least help a little bit. Let's bring him down here. I can act as backup for you. One thing I noticed about a lot of the French units, they have one of their abilities seems to be able to attack twice, or is that a special card?
Well, there's a special card for it, but they have there's also one of their parts lets their ironclads attack twice.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Now he is going to try and deploy there. I'll send someone up here. See if I can sneak someone around. Oh, you have a Gatling. Now you have an actual Gatling gun.
That's cool. It attacks everybody in the range.
I gave this guy the little cat up there, so he's going to move double. Oh, no. Is he going to survive? Oh, no. But your guy took him out anyway. Okay, so we are almost there. Let's give him a sword there. And what I'm going to do is try and finish him off quick. Come on, get over there. So I gave him tactical advantage, but he's going to attack twice this turn. So that should guarantee he'll at least kill the opposing ironclad.
We've got the wrong range. He only attacks down.
Damn it. Okay, well, we'll still win with the mortar. This deck of mine sucks, but at least it's a little bit better than the decks for our verses. Alright, so let's get this guy. I'm on store when. And there. So the multiple stage, this is new for the Blood and Ironclad campaign, right?
Well, there's a 6-stage battle at the end of the Dimitri add-on campaign, and then this has 2 double-stage ones.
Nice. All right, so I think with that we can get out. So I'm going to kick you out of the lobby.
Okay.
All right, and we are back. Let's see. Doesn't look like we have any questions. So I guess for me then, for you, Zach. So we talked about this on the podcast last week, and this is the last DLC for Ironclads, unfortunately.
Yes.
Do you? And it is kind of.
I don't know if it's unfortunate. I'm ready to start a new game. Well, to work on a new game.
Mm-hmm. I did like Ironclad Tactics. As we play here, there's a lot of strategy in terms of building decks, and the maps generally lend more of a puzzle feel to it compared to a traditional CCG.
Yeah, I mean it's definitely a different kind of game. I mean it's really, I mean we say like it's a deck, a card-based tactics game, but that really doesn't sell it. Like it really doesn't describe like the full experience and what makes it really special. And it's good in some ways, right? That you can't merely describe it with 4 words, but it definitely makes it harder for people to understand why it's really cool, what makes it special, and specifically to realize that the game is for them. That's something they would really like.
Yep. Hopefully for people who are watching this live or will watch it recorded, they can sort of see what Ironclad is about. And I think we had a pretty good conversation about the deck strategies and the philosophies. Hopefully people will learn from my many, many, many mistakes at deck building there.
I'm sure they would rather try and do better than you to show you up.
Yep. At least I beat the main campaign. I did beat that final Dimitri level, so I can hold that as my crowning achievement for Ironclad. So, I don't see any questions. Ken, from watching us play over the last hour, do you have any questions for either of us about playing the game?
Yeah, sure. So when you first started up the game multiplayer, because this is your first multiplayer game, like at least competitive, what problems did you run into that you at least on the developer side?
Just difficulties with making a multiplayer game.
Yeah.
Honestly, the biggest one is a player base, you
Mm.
know? And so right now it's actually really difficult to find somebody on random skirmish because, say that you want a random skirmish and you want an average wait time of 10 seconds. Well, I mean, how many 10 seconds are in a day, right?
Mhm.
6 in a minute, so, like 360 in an hour. So, 360 times 24, like that's how many players you need active in order to have a 10-second, like 10-second matchmaking time
Mhm.
is having, like somewhere in the neighborhood of 7,000 active players. I don't know if I
Mm.
did the math right, but you need a lot of players. And if people sort of go on and don't find people playing, then like they're gonna stop waiting,
Yeah.
and nobody's gonna sit there and wait for 10 hour, or whatever.
Mhm.
And so the biggest, the most important thing of having a multiplayer game is having players.
Mhm.
And that's something that with with an indie game, and especially something that's kind of a niche game, it's
Mhm.
definitely hard to cultivate that.
Mhm. Now, here's a question I have for you, Zach. Do you think the fact that Ironclad Tactics didn't have like a true multiplayer, like a CCG multiplayer that we see in something like Hearthstone or Magic, like having those extended tournament options, do you think that may have hurt the
Mm,
multiplayer viability of it?
no, I mean I think that I think it's just not well known. I mean, like you think
Mhm.
about like compared to like okay, like Blizzard. So first off, like Hearthstone is free to play, which is a
Mhm.
really great way to get players. If the reason why it's okay that the multiplayer in this game is not super active is because the real focus of the game is on the single player. And that's
Mhm.
something you don't find. I mean, like the single player in Hearthstone is a handful of AIs
Mhm.
that you can play against. Whereas in ours, like we have like a really like a really finely crafted single player co-op campaign because that was really our focus.
Mhm.
Um, but if we were trying to make a game that was multiplayer and that was our primary focus, making it free to play is practically essential nowadays. There's so many
Mhm.
free multiplayer games out there. It's a really great way to get players, which are really important.
Mhm.
Um, there's also that's really the big one, honestly. I
Okay.
so I don't like making it free would be more,
Mhm.
like this if this game was like a free to play thing, it would probably make more of a difference than adding like a traditional tournament mechanism.
Mhm. And I know one bit of trouble spot I think a lot of people had in the first, like the earliest of Ironclad, was the fact that you had a lot of cards set to be unlocked playing multiplayer, but the problem was people weren't able to find people to play online. So a lot of
Oh
cards.
yeah, that was for a pretty short period of
Hmm.
time, but yeah, that was originally it was actually only a quarter of the cards that way.
Hmm.
So it was people who really wanted all the cards had a
Hmm.
problem with that, and you could actually get them by playing with a friend.
Hmm.
Was sort of an interesting thing. Um, but yeah, we cut that right away,
Okay.
and that was when we added New Game Plus.
Hmm.
So now what it is that yeah, like there's harder, and people wanted more single player content, and people didn't want to have to play multiplayer. So it's a pretty easy decision to make.
Oh, we got a question. Looks like Chris Garner from our last chat got in just in time. Hey, Chris. So here's the question he asked. Was mixing turn-based and real-time like this part of the initial design, or something you arrived at during development? He says it seems like a really fruitful design space.
Yeah. Let me think. So the we came to this game, the current game design, in sort of a weird way. I mean, it started off as a puzzle game,
Mm-hmm.
and it started off as a puzzle game, and then it evolved into a puzzle game with real-time elements,
Mm-hmm.
where it's sort of like you're solving little puzzles on the fly, and then sending out units into a battlefield. And eventually we completely scrapped all of the puzzle mechanics. But what sort of stuck was that notion of that there's this sort of like there's a real time like a sort of real time battle going on.
Mm-hmm.
And when we added the cards and made it a card game, like most card games are turn based and have a turn structure. And for the way we wanted to balance like combat and stuff and that, like it ended up being it made more sense to make it turn based than like a constant, like if you think of like if Ironclad Tactics was constant, the guys fire like every 2 seconds on
Mm-hmm.
timers or something. It's much easier to think about if it's
Mm-hmm.
turn-based because that breaks it up into discrete chunks. So you can start calculating like, oh, if I don't stop this guy now, in two
Mm-hmm.
turns he's going to end up in the range of this guy and he's going to die.
Yeah.
So like it making that like turn-based made a lot of sense, but we'd already sort of picked up all these real-time vibes,
Mm-hmm.
and it just kind of came together. I mean, what happens a lot, I think, when we design games is that we sort of accidentally design a game, and it's not really until afterwards that we realize like, oh, this is really cool. And this is definitely one of those cases where I mean, we really had no idea like what we were building, and then it's only now like I can actually look back. It's funny. I was building my decks this morning to play against you and destroy you, and I've been playing a lot of Hearthstone lately. I've been playing more since our podcast we did last
Hmm.
week, and it was funny because I've done a lot of deck building in Hearthstone, and that's an example of a game where I do not know as well as
Hmm.
Ironclad Tactics at all. I'm terrible at Hearthstone. And it sort of allowed me briefly to look at Ironclad Tactics as if I was someone who'd never played it before,
Hmm.
and or was new to deck building and thinking about it. And it was sort of an interesting thing that only now, and only after playing other games, am I able to really like kind of take a look and see what we've built. You just get
Hmm.
so blinded by being immersed in something.
Yeah. And we should definitely play some more Hearthstone, maybe later or sometime, because I'm slowly getting into it. I think I may have gotten over that hump, at least with my Warlock deck, so
Hmm.
I'm at least getting good there. One last question from me then. This was something that I wanted to show on the cast, but I didn't really want to make it too loud; it would drown people out, and that's the credit theme song. For those of you who haven't played Ironclad, there's
Oh
a
yeah.
really great ending credit song that if you should just like YouTube it, or if I think can you play it from like the original menu, or do you have to actually unlock it first?
If you beat the game, you can access it from the story menu,
Hmm.
but it's available online also. It's funnier if you've beaten the game because you know it, like you know what
Yeah.
it's talking about. We were figuring out what to do for the credits, and I mean, obviously, it's inspired by the Portal credits where they had like a really, a clever song that recapped the game, and it's really like,
Hmm.
especially with a game that's kind of quirky in a funny way, like having
Hmm.
like a fourth wall breaking song about the game
Hmm.
is it's kind of cool, and I feel like it's a nice way to kind of put an end on the game. And
Hmm.
so yeah, so we pursued we found one of our artists, one of I think his cousin
Hmm.
has a folk rock band, and it was
Nice.
perfect. And they're really talented, and we worked with their songwriter and wrote the song, and
Hmm.
and it took a lot of tweaking. It's kind of funny, like trying to align, like we spent a lot of time trying to align like weird things like art and programming with our story and with the universe and with the fiction of it. Trying to align a song, which has to also like rhyme, and like we
Yeah.
can't like write the song for the songwriter because that would be terrible. So we have to kind of like be like, oh, Colonel Crane wouldn't really do that. Maybe we should phrase this differently. It was
Hmm.
tricky, but yeah, we came up with this awesome song.
Hmm. Yep. And best part is because I'm playing Ironclad, which is about steam power robots. Every time I hear that song, I just imagine like the train turning into an Ironclad and fighting it. Just
We don't have that yet.
that
We
will have
uh, we
been the
thought of
next
doing a
DLC.
train-based add-on campaign. Originally, we imagined the add-on campaigns would be much more mechanic-based, but we ended
Hmm.
up making them more story-based.
Hmm.
So it's sort of about like where they are,
Hmm.
and because we ended up like I think honestly relying more on the expansions more for providing levels to play
Hmm.
rather than cards to play with. Like they all come with tons of cards, but like
Hmm.
the most important function of it was providing more content for players.
Here's a question for you then. When you were designing Blood and Ironclads and the Rise of Dimitri, the cards that were unlocked or that you unlock while you're playing, did you come up with those before designing those campaigns, or were they sort of given birth as content to basically unlock as you were making the new levels?
Well, so the Dimitri ones, obviously, like half Dimitri cards were
Hmm.
already we
Yeah.
already created for the main campaign to be the bad guys.
Hmm.
Um, but yeah, the rest of the cards we designed cards that would be interesting to play with, and
Hmm.
then we built the enemy decks out of them. So that way you'd play against an enemy who's using those cards, and then you'd beat them, and then you unlock the cards that they were using. And then we added extra little cards to. We had
Hmm.
probably like a quarter, maybe like a fifth of the cards in the game are actually like ones that you'll never unlock, and they just exist to provide like texture to the levels.
Hmm. Sort of like the cards, like when you load up like the first Dimitri level, he has like you have like the Dimitri guy on the field.
Yeah, exactly. Stuff like that, like special one-off cards.
Hmm.
But yeah, so we kind of add those to fill out whatever's missing.
Hmm. Awesome.
Like, yeah, there's a deck, there's a card in the Rise of Dimitri expansion that you never get, but it's a man in a suit shaped like an ironclad.
Hmm.
So that was like for story purposes, we needed something that fit that role. We needed something that was like an ironclad
Hmm.
for a faction that hadn't gotten ironclads yet in the story. So it's a
Hmm.
man in an ironclad shaped suit, and it fit perfectly
As
with the
well
story.
as the boss dagger we just showed, Dimitri's legendary ironclad. That's something that
Yeah,
can't be in the regular campaign.
what actually is, you can unlock it now.
Ah,
So if you beat the game on New Game Plus, you get one copy of a modified version of that card. It costs 9 action points,
ooh,
which is 3 more than anything else in the game,
hmm
and it's pretty awesome.
nice. Okay, so I think with that, let's wrap things up. I know we had a little bit of some technical hurdles, but I think for a live run of our first cast, I think this went pretty well. What do you think, Ken?
Yeah, and I think this is a great way of demonstrating what we're actually discussing in these podcasts because they're pretty long. But
Yeah.
I think maybe we should also put a little, at least a little, the sound of the game in too. So
hmm Yeah, hopefully
Yeah.
next time we can get the sound working. I can probably raise the volume up at least a little bit more on my speakers. That should allow you to hear a little bit. But I
You
think
guys should
that's,
check out Twitch.
yeah, maybe
Twitch has,
we'll,
I've did one of these before with somebody who was using Twitch, and it allowed them to have like the game constant. Like when I'm talking right now, like no one's seeing my little Google icon. They're not seeing the game,
hmm
so I let them do it all. Yeah.
Okay. Well, maybe we'll look into that next time. What do you think, Ken?
yeah, we can look at both solutions.
Yeah. All right. So I think with that, I think we have one or two people watching. We're going to end the cast here. For those of you who stayed for the whole cast or listen in and out, thanks for tuning in. For those of you watching this on our YouTube channel, thanks for watching. You should be seeing some more notes about Game Wisdom's site as well as our Patreon campaign. And like I said at the beginning, if you like what we're doing here and want us to continue doing it and hopefully get some higher quality and less little technical mishaps, please donate and spread the word if you can. We would greatly appreciate it. And make sure to like this video as well as like and share the content on Game Wisdom. And if you want to hear more of us talking with Zach, you can listen to our previous podcasts. You can find them on GameWisdom.com. So, Ken, Zach, it was great having you on for our little inaugural little experiment here.
Yeah, it was fun.
Yeah, try it again.
Yeah. And with that, we're going to end things. Have a great night and talk to you again sometime, well, whenever we do this again. Take care, everybody.